In the invasion of Super Earth, I have played many missions of Super Helldive, and I've found 5 great strategies that have kept me alive longer in the middle of this chaos. So let's talk about them. The first is you cannot stop moving. This sounds really obvious, but yes, it is obvious, but at the same time, if you stop, specifically in the Repel Invasion missions, you are going to die basically immediately. You need to keep moving. There are way too many overseers and flesh mobs to just try and hold a position. So one of the best things you can do is just keep running. Because, like, let's say you stop for a moment. Even with a turret down, you just need to run, because you'll have like 5 flesh mobs, 24 or so overseers, and like 100 voteless coming at you. And then also there's maybe like 2 leviathans and a stingray. There's just too much to be standing in one spot. Now, yes, objectives, obviously you have to do that, but at that point is when you have to have a full squad together to really kill everything as fast as possible, or you are screwed. So yeah, that's the first tip. Don't stop running. The second strategy is target priority. Now, this has to do with how important it is to take down specific enemies. Leviathans that are over you are extremely important to take down, as they are going to wipe you out if you don't, take them out immediately. The plasma cannons are just nasty. I've seen countless teammates get evaporated by Leviathan shots. Stingrays are also really important to try and take out, as those will smoke your entire team, and they're fast and they're moving. But again, those are only attacking for a brief amount of time, so you want to focus most of your time on the other enemies, and then when they are on an attack run, that's when you want to really focus on them to try and get rid of them, so you don't have to worry about them. And then also, harvesters are really important to take out. Most of the time, mostly the closer, like if you're like right on top of one, just like try and get that shield down, and if you got a rocket or something, just try and get rid of it. It'll make your life way better if you can get rid of the harvesters. So then all you really have is overseers, flesh mobs, and voteless. Now, of the 3, voteless are the easiest, obviously. Just some turrets, some primary weapon, sometimes your secondary if you're taking a support weapon if you're taking a machine gun, and grenade. Like basically anything that can kill the fodder. That's kind of your lowest priority, the voteless, but you still need to worry about them. Just because they're the lowest priority doesn't mean you ignore them. You are still taking care of them, but it's when you see, say, a Leviathan or a Stingray or a Harvester right on top of you, you need to focus on that before you die. Now, flesh mobs are also pretty high priority, as they will wreak havoc on your team because they're just bullet sponges. So, like a Wasp is pretty good for them, and the airburst rocket launcher is really good. So it's just some sort of weapon that can take them out would be a really good idea in terms of priority. And then obviously do whatever you can against the overseers. There's different ways to do them, and just the best way that you find is the best way to do it. The third strategy is what your loadout looks like. Now, you want to find something that fits your playstyle, because there is no specific meta loadout, as there's so much happening you can do. You have to just pick a sort of silo that you're kind of doing, like either heavy, like trying to take out heavy stuff, so you're using the recoilless, or maybe you're focused on the fodder, so you've got machine guns and stuff. But just whatever fits your playstyle and is still effective is a very, very good idea. Some example is like someone who is prioritizing Leviathans, Harvesters, and Stingrays would probably take a rocket support. For example, the recoilless rifle is the biggest one here. A turret, probably like an autocannon or a rocket sentry, mainly for cover from the overseers, and then 2 orbitals just for other things. Those can be barrages or precision type strikes. Probably the precision strikes because of the low reload time, so you can deal with the fodder and the ships much faster. Now, as for like primary weapon, typically these people would take a high fire rate, like or a shotgun. So like a rifle or a shotgun that has a high fire rate to try and clear out voteless with your primary weapon. Secondary doesn't really matter, although the grenade launcher is pretty good against the ships. And your grenade is basically whatever you can find that's good. I prefer the gas grenade, as the gas grenade can take out voteless or thermite, which can take out flesh mobs, which is pretty good. Now there's another kind of loadout you could take, which is you want to focus on like overseers and voteless and a little bit of flesh mobs. So what you would do, and this would be mainly your primary weapons, that would be you'd be taking a Ruptor primarily. Your secondary would probably be a grenade launcher, and your support weapon would be a machine gun. So your other 3 stratagems would probably be like a machine gun or a flame or a Gatling turret, so one of the high fire rate or just one that's really good against the lower enemies. And then probably an eagle or 2 would be your other ones. You know, they're high capacity and they can do just about anything. Basically whatever fits your loadout. So really the loadout is really important, but it has to just make sense with your team, which I'll get to in a second. And it just has to work, and you gotta feel comfortable, because if you don't feel comfortable about it, you're gonna struggle. Now the 4th strategy is your team. Being a member of a team on level 10s makes things so much easier. Trying to do a solo level 10 while it's like, oh, solo diver, you're gonna struggle. That's just how it is. You are going to struggle if you were just playing by yourself on level 10s. So I don't suggest it. I mean, I've played in tons of level 10 missions with teams, and we are successful almost every time because we have good teamwork and we're working together. And a lot of times I'm only with 2 other people, so there's 3 of us total, and we can complete level 10s. It's just, again, what I've talked about with the priority and just working together. So, for example, with a team, you want to have different sort of focuses for each member. Like, one could be the one that's focused on the heavy enemies, like the Leviathan, the Stingrays, the Harvesters, Flesh Mobs even. So they're taking like a recoilless and then a machine gun to support them. So they would be like what I was talking about with their loadout. So they would have that. And then you have another that's focused mainly on Flesh Mobs and Overseers. So they would probably take something like a Wasp or an Airburst, something like that. And then your third would be kind of your guy focused on fodder or the objective or just kind of going around and whatever. And then you can have another guy who's basically the support role. Support role, kind of in this situation, the best way I found is just keep everyone filled up with ammo. And the other one, because this one's actually kind of really important, and I found that this strategy to work really well against the Leviathans, is the team reload of recoilless rifles. Now, the reason I found this to be really helpful is you can so like, let's say you're on a point like extraction and there's 2 Leviathans overhead. You call down a resupply, you give your backpack, your recoilless rifle to your backpack, your recoilless rifle backpack to your buddy, and your buddy fills it up, first off, goes up to you, refills you, and you just fire all 5 or 6 shots, however many you have, depending on whether or not you reloaded, at the Leviathans, and you take down the Leviathans as fast as possible. When you run out, you go back, you fill up the recoilless, and you just keep going. You can fire like, I don't know, how many shots is that? It's 21-ish shots from a recoilless rifle with a full resupply, which is pretty insane. So, and that 21 shots will for sure take down at least 2 Leviathans. So, like, just having the team reload with the recoilless rifle is extremely helpful. Whereas, like, just the support guy could also just bring a support back, like a resupply backpack, and that could just keep everyone topped out, which would be very helpful for everyone. And so the 5th strategy is to use gas and fire. Now, because the Illumina are primarily flesh enemies, as in, you know, the flesh mobs and the voteless, although the overseers have a lot of flesh too and are very vulnerable to fire and gas, fire is very, very effective against the Illuminate, as, again, they're flesh, so they ignite really easily, and fire destroys voteless really fast, and having fire on a flesh mob will slow them down. So fire is a very good thing to take if you're looking for kind of what you want to prioritize in terms of your stratagems and your loadout, in terms of like incendiary grenades and whatever, and flamethrowers, and then maybe a flame barrage or something like that. Now the other is gas. Now gas, in my opinion, feels very underrated. I don't know if it's underrated, but it feels underrated to me because I don't see a ton of people using it. I use it probably the most of any of the strategies that I've really talked about. That is what I use a lot of. Like the orbital gas strike, for example, has like a 70-second cooldown, and it can destroy landed illuminant ships, which is huge. So it's basically like a precision strike, basically, but it's got gas. Now, it can be kind of fidgety. Sometimes it doesn't work in taking out the ships, but most of the time it can take them out. It also, gas can, like the gas grenade is really good for this. It'll kill voteless almost immediately, and it will confuse overseers and flesh mobs really well, to the point where if you have like an eruptor primary, you can turn around and kill all of them while they're just walking into walls and running into whatever. So gas confuses enemies really well, so they just kind of go off and do whatever. So it's good for getting away, like if you're being chased. It doesn't work on elevated overseers as well because they're flying, which elevated overseers are tyrannical in this update. But again, fire and gas are a fantastic strategy to take with. So chemical and flame warfare is something to do in this new update. So that's what I would suggest y'all do. Now, y'all don't have to, but again, that's just something I've been doing, and I've been doing pretty well on these missions. I could just be dumb luck, but fire and gas are pretty good. If you use these strategies in your next Super Helldive mission, I bet you'll find it much easier and a bit more enjoyable. Now, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and leave a like, as I'd really appreciate it. And remember, Helldivers, we're Super Earth and manage democracy. I'll see you next time.